Finally, the retro console we've all been waiting for. But what's different about it? And what exactly do I think that the Evercade is doing wrong? Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of My Tiny Point of View. And before we get into the topic of today, I'd like to say don't forget to let me spend my money so you don't waste yours by hitting that subscribe button. And don't forget to click the bell to keep informed of new videos being uploaded on the We Deem channel. And yes, this is probably a video where my beautiful face should be in, but I still don't have good lighting, so we're just gonna record this way. A lot of people have been talking about the Evercade, and for a couple of weeks, probably more like months or a month, I've been wanting to make a video on the Evercade, not so much about what it is, although we are going to talk about that, but just basically what I think that they're doing wrong. But let's first go into what exactly this is. As you can see here, the Evercade is a brand new handheld console with unique multi-game retro carts like we haven't seen that before, from leading game publishers and console platforms. And as you can see, it's a little mini handheld console that kind of has a retro look. It has a white or off-white look and red accents. You have your D-pad, your menu button, your start, your select, and your action buttons, as you can see here. And when I was looking at it, the action buttons kind of reminded me of the Ouya, just the font. But at the bottom here, you can see a headphone jack, your volume rockers up and down, and a micro USB for charging. I kind of see this a lot still. I don't know why we're not adapting the USB Type-C. This is a cartridge-based system, which, don't get me wrong, is cool. I've always wanted to see a new cartridge-based system. I don't know if the pictures are going to look like this. It'd be nice if they'd be a little more creative than just sticking the Atari logo on there or the Interplay, which we'll get into that later. At the top, you have two shoulder buttons. I'm assuming this might be the power button, and this, I don't even know what it is. I honestly, it doesn't draw an arrow. They're not giving a whole lot of information here. I think they could have done a little better with presentation and made the handheld look a little better. I don't know how this D-pad's gonna act. It kind of looks cheap, honestly. Won't know until I get one in my hands, and regardless of what goes on, I'm gonna pick one up. Now here are the confirmed publishers. We have Atari, of course. Namco Museum, we haven't seen that before. Interplay, they've been on a lot of stuff. And Data East, these are the main publishers that have been putting their stuff out on many different platforms across the board. I've loved them. I've loved some of the games that they've put out. But maybe I'm ready for something a little different. The release date is Q4 of 2019. Console pricing standard is going to be $79.99 US. The premium, which includes 3 carts, that standard only included 1 cart. That's going to cost you $100 in the United States. Now your cartridge prices, single cart, is going to run you about $20. And now some of these carts have a multitude of games, so $20, that's not that bad. You can connect to your TV via HDMI. A lot of other Chinese devices don't even include that. They're still going over VGA. An ever-expanding library. We'll see about that. Exclusive collectible elements, I'm definitely interested to see what those are. No internet required. Does that mean that this device does not have Wi-Fi? There's not going to be any multiplayer, even if that might have been possible on the original console. Who knows? You can save your progress, which is pretty standard in these clone consoles nowadays. Yours to keep forever. Great. There are going to be 8-bit and 16-bit games. Now, I also want to get into that. What is this console actually capable of? They're not showing us any of the specs. We don't know what it's capable of, and personally, I'd like to see more out of that, and we're going to get into that soon. Officially licensed content, well, that's definitely good. Nobody wants to deal with copyright issues. Celebrate the classics. We've been doing that in the retro gaming community for a long time now. Let's get into some of the games now that have been loaded, and you will see, I think they set this website up a little weird where they keep jumping around with the collections, and I think they should have just kept them together. First collection you're going to see here is the Namco Museum Collection 2. I'm not going to go into all these games. If you're interested in seeing all those games, you can visit the Evercade website, which I'll leave in the description down below, or you can visit my post on reviewsbythisguy.com, which will also be linked down below. And I don't think I have the capability of doing that, but it might be linked in the top of this video if YouTube will allow me to do that. I'll scroll down and you can see, I will point out that Dragon Spirit is on there. I am happy about that. Splatterhouse 2 and Splatterhouse Part 3. No Splatterhouse 1. I haven't seen that. And this Weapon Lords, which seems kind of interesting. Never played that. And then you got Filius, if I'm pronouncing that right, and I have played that before. Those are really good shooters, that and Dragon Spirit. Then you got the Namco Collection 1, which should have been at the top. I am happy about Dig Dug. I do love that game. You got Metal Marines, which I've never played, and Battle Cars, which apparently I heard is pretty good. I've never played that. Now you have Interplay, which there are a lot of games from Interplay back in the day that I loved, and Earthworm Jim 2 is one of them. Claymates, I've never heard of, so I guess it'll be the first time. You have Clay Fighter 2, which I've never played any of the Clay Fighters, I don't think. Maybe I played it a little bit, but not enough to remember. But it is apparently a good game. It definitely runs for a lot of money. You got Prehistoric Man. Let's move on. Now the Atari Collection 2. We see Atari on a lot of systems, especially since this new company took over Atari, because obviously it's not the original company. We've heard a lot about the Atari box. I didn't pre-order it. I have no intentions on purchasing it. Don't get me wrong, my interest was piqued because I do love Atari. I grew up on the Nintendo, but I did have Atari as a kid. I've never played Yar's Revenge, but I heard it's good. Played a whole lot of Centipede, of course. I've actually played Dig Dug on Atari as well. You got Millipede, I've played that before. Next, we're moving on to Interplay Collection 2, and you see what I was talking about. They're jumbling this around and it's not organized very well. Clay Fighter, the original, Earthworm Jim, good game. Battle Chess, I don't know, never played it. I personally think we could do it without a chess game. These type of games, they don't transfer well now. Booger Man, I've never played, interested in it. You got Incantation here, which looks interesting, but I've never played, and Titan. Now Data East Collection 1. Data East is on a lot of things. That does not upset me because Data East has produced or put out a lot of games that I enjoyed. Bad Dudes was one of the games I used to love playing on the NES. Burger Time, which I can't remember if I played on the NES first or the Atari. Either way, a really good game. They do have a new version of it on the Xbox 360 Arcade. Great game. If you haven't played it, definitely check it out. Midnight Resistance. Never heard of it. Side Pocket, I don't know why they're including games like this. Karate Champ, a classic. Joe and Mac 2, which I didn't play, honestly, until I got the Retrocade. Great game. I definitely have to play through that. And what looks to be like, I guess that's Bad Crew Dudes. I've never actually played that. And you have Atari Collection 1, which should have been up the list. You got Centipede, we've all played that. Alien Brigade, I've never heard of it. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of games for Atari that I have never even played. Tempest, that's a great arcade game. I'm happy to see that. I still want the arcade 1-up with Tempest on it, although I've heard the dial is messed up, but there is a fix for it, so I still might pick that up if I can get it for cheap. Now let's get to what I think that they're doing wrong and what I'd like to actually see on a system like this, a new cartridge-based system. There are so many digital games that have came out that I have played or haven't played that I'm like, I would just wish these were physical. Now, don't get me wrong, it's nice to see these on limited run, and they do produce a lot of games for the Nintendo Switch, the PS Vita, the PlayStation that were digital that are now physical, and I love seeing that. But wouldn't you like to see some of these games only released on its own handheld system, or a console for that matter? And one of those are definitely a game that I had backed in a Kickstarter, and that is Micro Mages. That is going to be featured on an episode of We Play, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested to see what that game is. But this is definitely a platform, and I love platformers. Out of all the genres in gaming, platformers are my favorite by far. And I just would love to see those digitals released on a physical cartridge, on a cartridge-based system, just like the Evercade. And another game I'd like to see on a system such as the Evercade, maybe not specifically the Evercade, but a cartridge-based system would be Alwa's Awakening. Now, I'm probably pronouncing this wrong and I'm probably butchering it, but this is a platformer that I downloaded a while ago from Elden Pixels. It's something that I wanted to play and I never got to it, and this game came out last year. It's another great platformer I'd like to see on the Evercade. This will definitely be featured on a We Play episode. I'm gonna get to playing this game. But ever since I seen it, I believe it was on Kickstarter, I wanted to play this. It looked like a really good platformer. Or these are the games that should probably be on a system such as the Evercade in 2019. It should be released with a cart and a special edition case with the manual. It's a game that just deserves that much recognition. Another game that I'd like to see on the Evercade is something that I backed in a Kickstarter that has not been released yet. I backed it. I haven't gotten a physical copy. I haven't gotten a physical copy of Micro Mage yet. I did get the digital download that will be on We Play, as I said. This game is Bushiden, a futuristic ninja action platformer. Let's go ahead and check out some gameplay here. It's from Pixel Arc Studios. Honestly, look at this thing. I got no sound. There goes some sound going on. Although we have some freezing, of course. It's my lovely computer. Even though I have a really fast internet connection. Why is this not on the Evercade? This is a game that should make it on a cartridge-based system in 2019. Bushiden, a futuristic ninja action platform, is definitely a game that I'd like to see on a new cartridge-based system in 2019. Now, there are a lot of games digitally that I would have liked to see on a cartridge-based system in 2019. Now, I'm not going to go into every game that I've seen. Those are 3 games that I would love to see on there. Actually, before I say any more, there is one game that I'd also like to see on a cartridge-based system, and that is the Stranger Things game. Honestly, this game I personally love ever since I started playing it, and I have not finished it, I will be honest. I wanted to see it on a cartridge for the SNES. This is a great game that they have released on Android. I don't know if it's on iOS. I don't know if it's on any other device. This is definitely a game that deserves a physical release. And it's just one of many games that I'd like to see on a cartridge-based system in 2019. Now, what are my final thoughts on the Evercade? I'm gonna pick it up regardless. I like the fact that there are a lot of games that I would love to just relive in portable mode. I would love to take this thing on, and there's so many games that I haven't played, even from this 8-bit and 16-bit era, and I grew up on that. I am 36 years old. I was there when the NES came out. I was there when every other console came out after that. But I love racing games, I love fighting games, I love shooting games, and I love FPS games. But if I had to pick my favorite, it's always been platformers, especially 2D platformers, and a system like the Evercade that is a cartridge-based system, a new cartridge-based system in 2019. I would really like to see these digital indie games, these 2D platformers that are being released, put onto a cartridge, a physical release with a nice case, a nice insert onto a system such as the Evercade. There are a lot of digital games that I want to play that I haven't, but I'd like to actually get them physical. This is the system I'd like to have them on. In the comments down below, let me know what games you would have liked to see on the Evercade. Let me also know if you agree with me that you would rather see the Evercade be a system that releases physical copies of new age digital platformers in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to check out my website, reviewsbythisguy.com. There will be a link in the description to a larger list of games. I know I only said 3 of them. There will be a larger list of games that I'd like to see on the Evercade. If you like what was contained in this video, do remember to hit that thumbs up and consider sharing amongst friends. I'd like you to actually share this video. I know a lot of people haven't really mass shared my videos, but I think this is a good topic, and I'd like to hear what everybody thinks about what they'd actually like to see from the Evercade. And as always, don't forget to let me spend my money